Time for another Dirt Daily, and today I'm working on this truck. This is Pond Scum, my '03 Toyota 4Runner. We've had it on dirt every day a couple times. We took it rock crawling on the Fordyce Trail. We've taken it snow wheeling up in Oregon, and the first trip we towed it. The second trip I drove it all the way to Oregon and back. And something I noticed about the truck that was a little bit weird was that it was really uncomfortable. I don't know if it was just that I wasn't used to driving a Toyota or if there was something specific to this truck, but when I would drive it long distances, like the back of my legs would just cramp up like crazy. And I kind of just assumed that was the way it was with the Toyota, because the Toyota seats are a little bit different than what I was used to in like a Jeep or a Dodge, where they're lower to the ground, so like your legs are like more pointed out in front of you. And there's not a whole lot of support under the front of your legs. And I just figured, well, that's how it's gonna be if I wanna drive this thing long distance, which I really do, because it's got V8, it's got an independent front suspension that's got the Marlin's long travel kit. It's got a nice rear end. So it's set up for rock crawling and trail wheeling, but also it should be able to run down the highway just fine. And I was kind of bummed that here I had this really cool truck and I drive it a couple hours and like my legs are just killing me. But I was online and I was actually on Instagram and I saw this woman who travels around in her Tacoma. I think she goes by Badass Brunette. She basically has a Tacoma with like a tent and a motorcycle, and she looks like she lives out of the thing all the time. And I saw her posting one day where she was installing these little brackets. These things. And it occurred to me that this is probably the simplest little product for my 4Runner. So what it is, it's basically just an aluminum spacer that has a hole drilled in it to bolt in the factory location, and then another threaded hole in it that you bolt the seat to. And you just dive into this, you unbolt the seat, actually only unbolt the front. The rear, you just loosen it up, and then you pry the seat backwards and slide this thing in underneath it. There's a pin, because the factory seat has like a locating pin. This has a pin that goes in that same location hole and a hole for the factory pin. And then you bolt this down to the floor, and then you bolt your seat to this, and it just raises the front of your seat like about an inch, which really doesn't seem like a lot, but I've had, like, this seat has an adjustment on the side to raise and lower the front of the seat. It also has lumbar, it can like raise the back of the seat up and down, and then it can lean back. It has a lot of different adjustments, but I just could never get the adjustment right to be comfortable. So these things showed up. These are from a company called Desert Does It, Desert Does It. That's the name of this company. And apparently, like me, there was a guy that drove his Tacoma and his legs were killing him, and he was like, why can't this thing just be up a little bit? Now I assume you could like stack a bunch of washers and put in longer bolts, but this is super clean and simple. Plus, if you notice, there's holes on the front of it. Well, what's kind of cool about that is they also send a bracket like this that you can bolt on to the two seat, what are they called? Seat jackers. Toyota front seat jackers, because it jacks up the front of your seat. And then you can bolt this thing onto it, and this is that kind of universal webbing style that you could lash all types of stuff to. They have a fire extinguisher holder, you could strap a first aid kit, anything you want really handy right there at the bottom of your seat. Maybe you have a bag that you put in your, I don't know, your car insurance cards or whatever. So they have other adapter things that go to the seat jackers. So today I'm gonna install the seat jackers on the truck. I'm probably not gonna actually, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install them. I'll give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of me installing them. And then the next time I drive this 4Runner, Pond Scum, for a long distance, I will do another dirt daily to kind of give you a review and see if it's really worth it. But they sent me 2 of them, one for the driver and the passenger seat. Batman's sitting in the passenger seat in there taking a nap, so apparently the passenger seat's already comfortable enough for him. But I'm gonna install them. Desert does it. Simple little bracketry, and then we'll install this gadget, and maybe if I can find a fire extinguisher around here, I'll put a fire extinguisher in, because it's always good to have one no matter what 4x4 you have. So let's hop in the truck and start unbolting it. Oh, here's the other thing. They sent these sweatbands. I think you could also use them as beer koozies. Desert does it. Desert does it. But first, let's work on the truck, and then we'll deal with some beer koozies. All right, we're gonna start on the passenger side of the 4Runner. Batman, you're gonna have to sit on the center console for a minute. And I have this light that I got from a company called Devos, D-E-V-O-S, and it's rechargeable, and it's super handy because you can kind of set it down here on the floor. We're gonna set it there to illuminate what we're doing. Then you're gonna start with a 14mm wrench or socket, and you basically remove the front 2 bolts. You can see my floors kind of all ripped apart. I don't have any of the plastic or the carpet in this truck. It's probably going to be the quickest, easiest install that I've done on this thing. So there you go. There's the 2 front bolts. You are going to want to keep these because you will reuse those to bolt the seat jackers in. This hole right here is where that bolt will be reused to bolt it to the floor, and then those new bolts to bolt it to the top bracket. Next, we move to the back seat. You're going to want your flashlight and your ratchet, not to the back seat so much as the back of the seat. So the back of the seat, there's a bolt right here that holds this part down, and the same over here on this side. You can just see it there. Oops. Smash the light while I'm trying to work. So these 2 bolts, you don't actually remove, you just loosen them up, because you're literally gonna lean the seat back like that. Batman, what do you think about that? Pretty simple. And then we'll go back up to the front, and that's where we'll actually bolt in the seat jackers. All right, this seat jacker has a pin, and then when you raise the seat up, you can see right there, there's also a pin. And there's a hole in the floor where the pin from the new seat jacker drops right in. Basically, this is an alignment pin on the seat. The seat jacker has a matching alignment pin, and then that all drops right together like that. You're going to want to put both of them in at the same time, and everything will line up. You're going to want to get some Loctite on these, and then we'll get the new bolts, which are right here, and those will bolt it down to the seat jacker. Okay, the new bolt is Loctited in. They say to use blue Loctite. I had red, so I guess they're going to be in for good. Actually, you can break stuff loose with red. It's just usually easier with the blue Loctite. Next, so now we have the seat jackers bolted down on both sides, and then we put the bolts in on the top. These are the bolts that came with the seat jacker. I'm gonna see if I can show you both of them. There you go. So, and they are a, what's this, a 15. The bolts you take out are a 14, so you're gonna need more than one socket to do this, or wrench. But geez, what a simple little upgrade in order to get a little bit more comfort plus the ability to mount something on the front of this. Tighten those down by hand and then grab a socket. It really wouldn't be easy to just space this up because the front bolt holes are kind of at an angle. You can kind of see here. It's like as you lean the seat back, the bolt doesn't follow the hole. So this bracket that's been machined with both bolt holes is much cleaner than trying to homebrew it at home. Okay, final step was to tighten the back two bolts on the back of the bracket. The seat is definitely sitting higher on this side than it was. It might cause a little bit more to climb up into the thing, but it doesn't help that the truck's on 40s, even though it does sit pretty low. So now I'm going to move to the driver's side. Oh, I want to grab the brackets and show you how they will mount on the front of the seat jack. All right, this is the bracket that you can bolt onto the front of the seat jacker. You can see it has that kind of webbing style, and it's held on with 4 Allen head style bolts. They just thread right into the aluminum, nice and clean and simple. And then this is what you can mount things to. They offer a fire extinguisher mount, but a lot of people will use this type of webbing. Like you can get kind of military style bags and tactical gear, and it has loops on the back that allow it to kind of velcro into brackets like this. I like the idea of having a fire extinguisher really handy. I'm going to put these in by hand and show you that even with this bracket in, those are just finger tight, you can still slide the seat front and back. So if you have a tall person or a small person, this won't impede moving the seat front and back. Pretty cool, simple design. We'll just tighten these things down, and then all we have to do is duplicate everything on the driver's side. So that's about it for this Dirt Daily. I'm gonna get them all bolted in and take this thing for a spin. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. I was complaining to Dave that my legs got sore driving my truck, and he was like, "Oh, it sounds like a bunch of wine and cheese." Which, I mean, honestly, I like wine and cheese, grilled cheese, nacho cheese, whatever, Dave.